Hey there, everybody. It's your non-binary buddy, Cam, doing my best Santa Claus impersonation, bringing a mailbag of listener questions to our beloved cast. But before we do that, I would like to take a moment to shill, because we don't shill very often. But if you've enjoyed this adventure and our hijinks, our cries, our laughs, head on over to the Patreon. Give us $1, please. I'm asking really nicely. And with that out of the way, let's get into this. The first question is going to be coming from Gabe, and it is a bit of a compound question, so we're going to just hit this one real fast out the gate. How did you expect the podcast to go at the start compared to what it eventually became? And I know that seems like probably a Freeman question, but I actually want to ask James first.
The honest truth is, I didn't have any expectations for it. At the end of the day, it's a passion project with 4 other people. I've only two other people I've only ever kind of worked with, and one person I know that I can work with. So I just genuinely expected it to flop and nobody to listen, and us to just have a good time doing it, but not to have any version of success. But I think that's the right mindset to go in with, is let's just have a good time doing this. You know, you start making a show like this for yourself and you continue to make it for the audience. So I don't know. We finished it, which I didn't predict.
I remember early days you asking how many episodes I think it's going to be. And, true to form, my ability to estimate a measurement of any kind, it's just impossible. I can't do it. And I don't remember what I said, but I think I said maybe around 250.
Yeah. And I shortchanged you at 162 because I have that number in my notes, 162 predicted episodes. Yeah.
That's amazing. All up, I did a little count, all up, including episode 100 and epilogues were at 171, I think it is, or something like that in total, or somewhere along those. But yeah, I think James is kind of right. Like, there was you're kind of navigating the expectation a lot at the beginning. You're trying to not set yourself up for failure, but also don't set your expectations for too high so that you're disappointed. We really were. It was kind of like head down, set the standard high, put a lot of goals in, create a framework that's too much so that you can scale it back. Like the way the documents we use to review an episode or put in notes for mixing and that sort of thing, like those have evolved a lot over time. Even just the way I post what I put in for where the songs go and how and why. Those have all changed along the way. I think those are the biggest, some of the starkest things. Our workflow has changed a lot. We navigated it a lot. But it was a lot of we were very excited at the beginning when we were looking at our metrics. And at some point we stopped looking at them so closely. And we just kind of buried our head in the work for a while until it felt like we had some kind of flow that felt like we could really see this through to the end. So I'm with James. It was not about having no expectations, but like really mitigating yourself on the expectations and just getting to the work. And eventually, you hit a point where you go, oh, I can see the end in sight. And now I can remanage my expectations to see the end and begin work on the next one, which is really cool. I think that's the stark difference between the beginning and now.
Scott?
I didn't really have some crazy expectations. I didn't think a lot of people were going to listen, and I had no problem with that. I know that we definitely treat it like work in a way, but I still think that we managed to keep it fun. I know that before we started recording, we used to play with friend of the pod, Michael, and he was asked if he wanted to join us, and he said no because he didn't want to turn his passion into work. And I can totally understand that, because there were a lot of times when you don't want to do that edit because it's the weekend. You don't want to post that social media post because you're behind, or, any sort of thing. It is tough to keep it going and to keep things on point and focused. And one of the biggest things is that is a downfall of TTRPG groups is scheduling. And so you cannot do that here. You have James telling us we have to have so many episodes in the can. We have to be prepared. We have to have contingency plans for contingency plans, which, when you say it like that, it makes it sound shitty. But I think that
slog, yeah.
We were all prepared for that.
It's not unfair.
Yeah.
I just think that we knew with the makeup of the people where each of our skills lie. And so I always knew we were going to finish the story. I was never a doubt in my mind that we were going to finish it. I'd never thought we were going to end early. It was just nice and surprising that some people actually fucking listened.
Yeah. I think I feel the same. That I didn't think there was ever a stopping point for us as a group. I just thought if life really throws a wrench in too many spokes at once, that'll be what stops us. But I didn't think it would be anything other than that.
Dunk, you got anything?
Oh, I had no expectations whatsoever. I mean, I've never listened to an actual play podcast. I had never really played a full campaign before this one. So, but I was I was really excited to have the excuse, like Scott said, we have to do this. So I knew that was the only way I was going to be able to get through an entire TTRPG campaign. Turns out I really liked it. And then also being able to learn from James about the audio production stuff is something I was very interested in and really want to continue on honing my skills on that side of things. And just being part of creating a podcast, all of us want to make stuff, and just making stuff does feel good. And I mean, from listening to so many podcasts, I had in my mind, there's kind of I think it was Jesse Thorne, who was an NPR guy for a long time, was you have to be in the you have to have a show for about 5 years before anyone's even going to remember your name. And I kind of had that going in, if it's going to ever be something, we're going to have to be dedicated to it for years and years. And I was fine, if it falls apart, whatever. I hope it doesn't. But, we were all willing to put the work in, and I'm willing to continue to do that to see it grow. So from that aspect, it's just been fun to go along with the flow, develop stuff and see it grow from there without really having lofty ambitions for it down the line. Hopefully we can, all quit our jobs someday.
Yeah. Just to and that, it is mathematically implausible how wonderful y'all are to work with. Everybody's open to notes, everybody shows up, everybody puts in the work, and it just never works this way. Anybody I've ever talked to who's ever put together a group project, which is at the end of the day what this is, they never have positive things to say about literally everyone, and everybody here they show up, they do the work, and it's amazing. And I don't know if we would have done it if it wasn't the 5 of us doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not to say, those listening, that it was all, rainbows and unicorns. There were some difficult issues along the way, and but that sort of intent to see it through and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, when you were down, and that receptiveness, that openness that James talks about, in being called out in those things and doing it, it's that sort of mental attitude that this group has that has definitely seen the success. I think you're right there. And it's no secret behind the scenes here that Duncan was the wild card at the beginning, having probably the most out of his comfort zone for all of the aspects of what we were doing.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy, yeah. And I'm so glad you stuck through. And at some point we've all had conversations, not because of certain events per se. In some cases, yes, but there was always a check-ins. How are you feeling about how things are going? Are you going to stick it through? Do you want to go to the next show? We do those sorts of check-ins all the time, and I don't think anyone has ever wavered that yes, I want to keep going, and yes, I want to do another one. It's always been an emphatic yes. Even when I was points where, it wasn't all that long ago, I was checking in with Cam because Cam had a lot going on. I was like, you got a lot going on. are you prepared? And you were like, of course. I was like, okay, all right, just checking. Just checking, you know? I just want to make sure we're all good. Yeah.
I think coming into the project later for myself, like trying to find a place where I did fit, and also like my life is very, very busy, and I'm not as organized as James, so my time management is not as good as his.
No way.
But it's still has been just an
You
absolute.
can't make me your standard.
Yeah, it would all be lost without James.
Unless you're going to catch a good bout of that good autism. You
The
can't make
tisms,
me
yeah.
understand.
No, I know that, and it's just you are something that I aspire to, and I'm willing to like get to like 75% and be like that's good enough. But yeah, just like
I can tell you that's way good enough. 75% is fuck, man.
Yeah.
I wish I could turn it off.
Which is where we need to give a little round of applause to James as well, because for James to give compliments in a group project, I know him well enough these days to know that like that's so genuine, because it's his nightmare to work on a group project, and it absolutely shows that James has made many concessions from his own comfort zone to make this work as well.
True.
Yeah.
I have gotten doctor's notes to get me out of group projects in school before.
hell yeah.
At gunpoint.
Respect.
In short, listeners, it's a miracle we're here.
Y'all would have been fine without me. Maybe better.
Nah.
We can
Big doubt.
barely remember what day the episodes release.
No way.
It's largely a James down operation organization.
All right, move on.
No. I want to
Oh,
say
he's
here.
blushing now. He's blushing now.
I want to
He's
mush
blushing.
a little bit.
Get him.
All right,
Get him.
give us the next. He just took some THC oil.
Take a screenshot. Put that on Patreon.
He's like, get me out of here. Okay, now move on. Cam, move on.
Okay, the next question. Charis Divine, I hope I'm saying that right. I probably should have asked you. I'm so sorry. But, they said, I'd love to hear some behind the scenes of how the show was prepped and what was the most difficult part for Freeman. And there is, in parentheses, besides auras. And I'd like to add on Yin Mazura's accent. Those are the two.
Yin Yasmer's accent. Okay. You want to add that to the parentheses? That was never difficult.
I think Char's
No, it was clearly too easy.
Reference. Right?
Is a what reference?
What now?
Is that from? I think it's a Gundam reference. Isn't that from Char's Revenge?
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know if I've ever.
About
Yeah,
that, 'cause I think
yeah.
it's a Gundam reference.
I have never put that together, but that might be that'd be sick. Very cool name. But yeah, Freeman.
So behind the scenes, what was hard to prep? I mean, I up until this adventure, I was not used to doing certainly dungeon dives. There is an element of I'm sure I've talked about this before somewhere, but like you have like a level you're preparing, right? And it's only this level most likely, but that effectively makes this a sandbox open world of one level. So you never know which direction anyone's going to go in. So you really have to have the whole thing ready. And then on top of that, really like having so much future stuff in your head and like the very large scope of the history and the story, because I really wanted to make sure I was prepared for questions and recall knowledge checks, whether it came to the research or Belcora or the vaults or whatever it was. I really wanted to be prepared with the information at all times. I put a lot of work into that at the very beginning. I read and reread. I'm actually, if I can pat myself on the back, I'm impressed at how much I didn't have to go double check some lore that I had read a year before. Like it was just
Your
so firmly
level of
locked in
prep
my
is
head. Some of it.
astounding. Like it's
It was
intimidating to try and run a game on this network because you are so.
It makes me
on
worried
the
for the
ball.
next one because I don't know if I'm going to be as prepared. I don't know, but I'm going to do my damnedest. But yeah, like preparing.
Freeman, can I hop in here and ask you a question though? So
Mhm.
at what point, how far into the project were we by the time you had read all 3 books, start to finish?
Oh,
Like 4 hours?
Before I started, I had read them start to finish.
Wow.
Same question to you, Scott.
All 3, yeah.
I only read the first one, but I read it real thoroughly.
Real thoroughly.
And it was immediately.
Yeah. No, in this one, yeah. And I'm in the process of what we're planning on next. I'm in the process of I'm reading book 3 now. I've learned that there are some parts I can skim to save myself time, because right now I'm just trying to get a scope and a pattern and a pacing and a lore. And I'm gonna have to reread a whole lot of it again, multiple times. I know that I am. So, and I'm getting an idea of where everything's at and how to use it. How am I prepped for the next one is going is certainly different than this one. This one was, it was my first time really doing something quite like this. But like the really core answer to this question is that when you have that room, it is an open sandbox. You don't know what direction anyone's going to go in. You don't know what hall the pieces are going to go down. You don't know what encounter is going to be next. So that was probably one of the hardest parts, especially at the beginning. Was actually like every time we started a new episode, I had spent that afternoon reviewing every stat block available still on that level. And then we get closer and closer to finishing the level. I was doing what was left plus what was on the next level in its entirety, because I didn't know which way you were going to go down. Not in every case, of course. Like, levels 1, 2, and 3, and 4, actually the first book in general had like so many ways to go down and up. So that one was a little more, and I guess maybe 5 and 6 to a degree, but yeah, it was that was for sure the hardest part. Is you're prepping a sandbox every time, and you just don't know what's going to come. So that was a big one. Mechanics wise, yeah, Aura's obviously a massive blind spot for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to solve it. And my East and West apparently still remains a plague of my existence. And this one that's like extremely easy to fuck up and miss. And I think I've mostly corrected it and caught it thanks to Cam joining the show. And it's that damned incapacitation trait. That's always been a bit of a bugbear. So, but yeah, those are the big ones that come to mind.
Good answer. Crimson Twilight asked us, at the end of episode 99, it sounded like the Delary's father showed up in Otari. I feel like that was forgotten when the team returned.
The Delary's father, as in
Tulok's father.
As in Tulok's father showed up in Otari? I don't remember that happening.
Me neither.
Okay.
We lost the thread on that
I'm
one.
I'm curious to know, what part of that was. It wasn't a letter, was it? Was it the letter from his father? Maybe
it might have been the letter.
That would make sense. I know there was a letter that came in at some point. I don't remember when it was.
I think maybe they. I think maybe they thought they delivered it themselves.
Maybe, because I think I had Scoot read it as if Tulok was reading it. But end of episode 99 was when the big steam explosion happened and everyone was buried, right? And then we moved into episode 100. So it must have been like a after credits roll scene or something that we're talking about. Oh, I wish I'd known about this question before.
It does bring up an interesting point though on doing a podcast like this, because one, we're not sitting around the same table, and the sessions are way short. I mean, we play under 2 hours and then they're edited down, and we do generally 2 a night. But it's not like, when I used to sit down weekly at my weekly game, we'd play at least 5 hours in a night. Yeah. And it would be weekly. Sometimes here, just because we have some in the can, we would go a month, maybe more sometimes, without recording. And you can lose so many strings. And not only that, because that's fine. You lose strings all the time when you're playing these games. But there's generally not other people listening who could listen to 3 episodes in one day.
And pay attention.
And then pay attention to everything. Like, we must sound like fucking idiots sometimes.
Oh, I know I do, brother.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you right now that it's exactly that sort of thing. Like when we have those times where things get in the way, like, because like Dunk and James will switch their edits. Like they take turns, right? So one's on evens, one's on odds most of the time. But sometimes the one that's farther ahead gets done first. But I really don't want to review out of order for exactly that reason, is I don't want to lose the thread as much as I can. Like, I know there's so much potential to lose the order of operations. So I'm like, I don't think I ever did once. I think I waited and I like crammed it in when it was actually so inconvenient for me to do 2 reviews in like late at night after work. But I was like, but I just did it anyway because I really wanted to do it in order. So I made the sacrifice and came down to the wire too. But yeah, it's really easy to lose those threads big time, especially this adventure. Oh man. All the things you added in. It was a ride. Didn't do myself any favors, that's for sure.
For sure. Minty Pig asked, sometimes y'all do flashback vignettes, like the one recently with Tulok about the worm that walks and the memories going through the tests. They're always very evocative and well done. I was wondering how much of it is improv and how much of it is pre-planned. By the way, I love y'all's characters and enjoy the newer characters like Beryl that really get to shine as well.
Nice.
But
Thank you.
I know almost the only one that I really wrote for was Lump and Talford. Lump with the marble behind the dresser to kind of show that they had been in the gauntlet before it all went to shit, and then the Talford vignettes in episode 100. But the memories, at least for me, Beryl was all improv. I had a kind of a general idea of like Beryl's past, but I was just coming up with it on the spot. And I think a little bit of it is the editing makes it seem like we're maybe a little bit more snappy than we actually were in that moment. But for the most part, at least, I feel like we're pretty just, at least for me, just it's like off the top of the head. But I'm curious on James, because I know you're a little bit more of a prep person than.
I mean, you'd think that, but anytime Freeman voiced or did the narration is the only time that I've ever really pre-written anything. I'm very lucky that with Ruff and Gilda and Arthur, specifically those characters, that I had a very good sense of who they were the entire time. I knew what their motivation was. I knew what their mission statement was. And I knew kind of where I wanted most of those characters to end up. So a lot of that being was improv, just because I had those kind of 3 things in mind: who they are currently, who they've been, and who they're going to be, except for Raphael. Ruff was always just kind of by the seat of my pants. But by that time, I had so much unearned confidence in my ability to improv that it didn't seem to matter.
What about you, Dunk? Quick and witty with it.
Yeah, the good part about the quick and witty is it doesn't lend itself to a lot of like long form writing. So you could kind of see that in, well, I mean, for starters, I couldn't physically speak extemporaneously for long periods. And then Krucka, I liked his witticisms, but also I didn't leave him enough room to really kind of flesh that out as much as I would have liked. So, I mean, there was the scene with Physic early on. I think I did a scene for Krucka with the boat, but for the most part, everything was pretty off the dome. I really liked starting to get into the more fleshy bits of it with Nick. So I'm kind of looking forward to thinking those through beforehand, so I don't kind of stutter them out as I did in the later stages of the last adventure.
I think you did great, bud. What about you, Scoot?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I did a lot more writing with Tulok than I did with Harold. I had some ideas that I wanted to portray with Harold, but just never kind of came about until we got to the temple, and then we kind of got into the backstories a little bit in that room of memories. And so that was something that was in my head, but had never actually been written down. So yeah, that was interesting, but I kind of knew where I was going with it. Then as far as Tulok is concerned, I had a lot more pre-written stuff for Tulok, including the scene with the bullies, wrote the letters, I wrote Gilda's eulogy, and I think more kind of, did I say the dream already? That was one that I really liked that I wrote. But then just things that I didn't. Awesome. Yeah, it was scary. Just as far as scenes that I didn't write ahead of time was Tulok's death. I had kind of also been thinking in my mind what I would say if Tulok died ever. Just to kind of piggyback off when James had the brutal death of Gilda and the thought in her mind that she wasn't defending the characters and they were all going to die as well. I wanted something that was just as heartbreaking for Tulok to kind of seal that moment. And I went with the empty death there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah, those horrible last turmoil thoughts of these broken characters. Whew.
Good answers, gang. Freeman, what is there anything from you? Anything that you improv that you're really particularly proud of?
Well, the French librarian will go down in history, I think. But,
Number one. Yeah. We've seen your greatest hits, bud. Okay.
I still go back and listen to that
Play
and just
that
laugh at
same
myself.
song.
It's so ridiculous. No, as far as like the improv and these and like vignettes and pre-written stuff, it's someone there made a really good note that, you know, the fact that we edit it quite tightly, that was always one of the original goals, was to sort of like edit it tightly enough that it feels, not that it feels scripted, but like it doesn't feel like we're fumbling over too many things. And so some of those improv moments can definitely seem like they're scripted, and they're definitely not. And that example that Cheris Divine, or it wasn't Cheris Divine, Minty Pig, gives, that flashback with Tulok explaining about the Word in the Rocks, that really was me putting them on the spot and saying, go. And they did, and it was really cool. And I love moments like that. And I've always, like, especially in the early days, and like through most of this adventure, I think maybe I fell off a little bit, but I always really enjoyed like the prompts of what does your character think? How are they feeling? Tell me something. Even if it doesn't spawn into a whole scene, I really like to hear those thoughts and keep people's minds going. And it's worth saying that a lot of the scenes that we do have, the others are right in that, like, if you, like what James said, if you hear me narrating, that's definitely pre-planned. And I've long had a heavy hand in a lot of the scenes that are pre-written, and they've been sent to me. I have adjusted them for narration. I've gone with a format and a sort of style of like, you do the voice, I do the narration, I do the NPCs, kind of really stick to that, a scene filling the same sort of format as regular play. And there's a lot of notes go back and forth, and I show what I change, and everyone sort of approves. So the core of it is often the player's writing, but it does go through some heavy editing sometimes to adjust for the medium and the approach. And so I can also see why that helps these improv ones blend, because it's still the same thing. It is me narrating and doing NPCs and you doing those voices. So they seem like one and the same when they're not. Which to me is like a, I'll brush my shoulders off on that. I think that's a cool thing to have a hard time differentiating on. I think that's really neat.
I didn't want to bring up the dandruff, but I'm glad you did.
And we have talked about doing a bunch more of those for the next campaign, Minty Pig. So get ready.
I just want scenes. I want people to write scenes. If I'm not getting even a small scene, I feel like no one's thinking about their character on their free time, And I know that's not true, but it's like for some reason that's the little standard that I set in my brain sometimes. I'm like, if you haven't given me a character idea in a while, and we're only getting them when we record, like, are you thinking? Is it going through your head? Give me something.
We're also hearing this for the first time, listeners.
Yeah, this is him telling us for the first time that he wants.
I have to rein myself in, all right?
No, you don't.
He's also staring like right down the camera.
Yeah, it's unnerving. Yeah. But yeah.
No, yeah. The last thing I want to say on this topic is that everyone here has a very different writing style as well. They have a different approach to how they do it. Cam is more often than not been a bullet point in my head and then spew it out kind of approach to storytelling, which sometimes I really don't want that, but sometimes I'm so appreciative of your ability to do it at the same time. It's so really cool. And then James will go edit after edit after edit on his own writing. And I'm I'm more loath to change his than most because I don't want to. I know how much like he'll just redo the same thing sometimes. And dunks tend to be shorter. But they're no less substantial in my opinion, and they're really fun to work with and throw ideas at. And like I said, Dunk was always the wild card in the group, so it's cool to like work with someone who's just like is quick and witty and like puts really subtle things. What was that fucking one with Krucka? Like the cold brew comment you had with Krucka's like scene or intro or something. Do you remember that, Dunk?
Oh, not off the top of my head. In his hut,
looking out the window, and he makes some ridiculous
comment.
Something about the weather. Cold brewed. Like it's just so ridiculous, and it's such a fun way to approach writing. Whatever it was.
Hey, and also Duncan with the red herring character intro.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, Reginald. Yeah, we worked on that together. That was really funny.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to stretching out some of that, because a lot of the shortness of that is I have just the worst ADHD and work to a deadline. So
related.
Yeah, thank you guys for dragging me along sometimes when I feel like I'm slacking off. But I'm really sitting here wishing I was doing my work. So hopefully I'll be able to stretch that out a bit into some good essay length.
Get there together, buddy.
Yeah. Every one of us has had to be dragged at some point. Every single person in this room.
Every single one.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just making an excuse for the edit. I might not get done tonight. No.
Oh, shit.
The old on-air bet hedge.
With that, there's another question from Gabe. This one's for the players specifically, so Freeman, shush. Were there any... Thank you. I'm glad you had to get that one last word in.
It was an onomatopoeia.
Were there any other character concepts you had in mind if the last ones met an untimely end? Scoot, what was after Harold?
Well, we already kind of touched on this in the last behind the scenes episode, but if you didn't listen to that, basically bringing back the idea of Tulok and the Delarise family, Freeman and I had gone back and forth on bringing Tulok back as a ghost, or also bringing in like a distant family member, distant relative, who potentially could have been a different type of sorcerer or the same, and just kind of trying to keep that thread alive. So I was pretty kind of wanted Harold to die at first, but then was happy that they didn't. I also had a skeleton character cooked up that I was pretty excited about. But I also we had Lump already, which I thought was a great character and was very tied to the vaults. And I didn't want to bring in at that time another character that was so intimately tied to the vaults. I wanted to keep Otari as kind of the foundation of the story. So there was potentially going to be a skeleton character, but honestly, Lump was a better character anyway. So it was totally worth it.
Dunk? What was after Nick?
I think we mentioned I just coined it Krurkaj combo was going to come up. I hadn't really thought much beyond that. I in the back of my mind wanted to pull a druid into the story, and then Beryl came along. So yeah, no, I was just going to bet on Krurkaj coming along and never dying, because they would have been the ultimate PC.
Well, apparently I stepped on two other players' character concepts.
Wow.
I'm a bad person. James, what was your backup, and did I steal it?
No. I had so many backups. I did a couple of live streams where I built characters out. That last ranger I built looked really cool. I had an Aruxi rogue that I really liked. Like, their action economy was so tight, and I thought that would be really fun to play. I spun up a hobgoblin at some point. Like, I'm just never not thinking about a character or a backup. It's always in the back of my mind. Those are my shower thoughts, is what kind of concept, what theme do I want to play with next?
For myself, I had Talford in the wings, ready to come drop bombs. And then my original concept that I pitched to Freeman was a skeletal thaumaturge. So, Scott, you stepped on my toes there.
Touche,
and then I
Sullivan.
also had a little kobold fighter that I had brewing up. So, Dunk, you stepped on. No, the first one was true. The kobold fighter was a lie. I had Telford, and I didn't think that anything would survive past that. So, I didn't need anything else. But yeah. And there's a add-on to that one, but we're going to save it for later. Dr. T asked, what would the deceased characters have done if they were able to retire after the adventure? Like, what would Gilda have been up to?
Gilda would have went back and been an Eagle Knight. That was always her goal, was to kind of make her father proud and join into the Andorran army. So she was well on her way. Yeah, not a whole lot else I had planned for her outside of that. She was still very young. Like, I think she was in her mid-20s, and she was an elf, so years of her life left ahead of her, centuries even.
She got her epaulets.
Yes, she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Physic, that's one that I'm kind of interested to know. Like, what was Physic just going to, like, keep bumming around Otari, or would Physic have been like, you know what, there's a whole world to see out there?
Oh, boss of the underworld.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's gunning for Yin Yasmer at that point.
I feel like Physic and Augrel would have like remained good friends and just like, you know, just like run the library underground together or something.
Yeah, probably. They'd just have like some of the hardest to listen to conversations, but
Augrel can eat all the surgeries that went wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually great.
Physic could have become a flesh warper, maybe, like taking over Jaffa Key's equipment or something.
I would have been so metal.
Just making the most disgusting but adorable little things.
I heard you needed a new pet.
But I do think that like if Krucka and Kruger retired, they would have met and ironically exchanged like a library card and boxing gloves and like a gift of the Magi kind of situation.
Nice. What about Tulok? Does Tulok check himself into a therapist, or like what's the?
I think that
home to the family.
Exactly. I think that it would have been. I think that he would have been under control with his powers enough after leveling up that much, which was the reason why he left his family, that he would have been comfortable returning to his family. And whether or not he stayed in Absalom or would continue living in Otari, that I don't know, but I just think that like after the years of the silence and the distance, this would have been the introduction back into family life, and I think that would have been a really fulfilling end for him.
I wonder if Aelin and Tulok would have ever crossed paths, and if Tulok would have ever truly discovered the truth of his lineage, like in full, of the Delaris and how they were once sort of the spy masters, that half-caste spy masters of the Haravex family.
Well, I think that would have been a massive part of the Belcora fight, I think. I think that would have been what I would have focused on in the conversation before the fight, instead of just, you know, Harold saying they're going to fucking kill Belcora. It would have been something a little bit more deep.
Use your words better.
Yeah, I think that that's a topic that I definitely would have explored before the death of Belcora. And could have been something after, you know, just like a closing of that chapter of the family lineage and a righting of the wrongs.
Right.
Awesome. For Lump, I think they might have been tempted by Otari, but I think ultimately they would have just been looking for the next conflict. I don't think they really would have been comfortable in peace. I don't think that they had that in them. It was just like, because they weren't really motivated by being good. Like Lump was not a good character, good aligned character. They were very much a chaotic neutral, like just kind of a vagabond, just like trying to find the next thing to like keep moving towards and causing problems.
A bit like Mr. Bean.
Yeah, a lot like
An
Mr.
agent
Bean.
of chaos.
Yep.
Well, you know,
Very neutral agent of chaos.
and not to take anything away from the way that you played Lump at all, but maybe I was just projecting too much Cam onto Lump, because I always felt like, apart from when Lump had the lens, they were a good character, like a gentle giant, much like yourself. And so maybe I was projecting too much and just always thinking that Lump deep down was a sweet person.
I think we all
Or
really
wanted to be.
like felt like a for a good long while this sympathetic feeling of like Lump and Lump's like struggle with identity, you know, and belonging and enslavement kind of thing. And so I think we all
Ascribed a certain
wanted,
level of goodness. Yeah.
yeah, we all just applied it, you know, because surely this downtrodden creature is better than the environment we found them in, you know.
Well, I think it's smart that they were more complicated than that, because it's easy to ascribe like you were suffering so much, you must be a good person, and that's kind of not really how things work.
No, because like Lump definitely like stole scrolls from the party, definitely grabbed a bunch of things, like absolutely like just tipped over bowls without asking, like just was just it was like anarchism without the thought behind it. It was just I'm here to cause problems, like, and Lump was very kind to you all because you were kind to them, but they didn't give a shit about Otari. Like they didn't. It wasn't to save the town. It was because Belcora, like it was closer to revenge than like a sense of honor or duty or anything else.
Do you think that Lump would have gone deeper into the Darklands after the adventure? Like possibly gone to Lizarden and like met with the Drow and met other Darklands creatures and explored that way?
I don't think that Lump would have, because Lump was pretty against the Drow, if you remember.
Big time.
And so I don't think Lump would have gone to the Drow. I think Lump would have. I think Lump would have honestly
I forgot the intense racism.
Yes, I forgot that too until this morning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Lump was not a good person. Like Lump was a deeply traumatized individual who was on the right side of history, so to speak, but ultimately was in it for themselves and you all, because you were their friends, but it wasn't some noble or anything. It was just Lump. Like I think Lump would have ended up in either Alkenstar or like somewhere destabilized, like just somewhere that they can just do what they want to
do Lump stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, we were pretty primed for like overlooking some shady shit. Think how many like throats Tulok slit while Gilda's back was turned.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like I specifically was aiming for Lump to not fall into chaotic good. I think Milani also kind of primed y'all to be chaotic good, but also a lot of Calistria, which was the vengeance and revenge, and then Erasni, which is neutral evil when that existed. Like, but
I always thought it was a very interesting choice when I had gone out of my way to have the people of Otari to accept Lump, Salusel, despite the look, because of like the effort in the cause, and like I've always wanted Otari to be sort of inclusive, not in like some big
performative
token kind of performative way, but like that's kind of how I always interpret it. It's a hub town, people cross through, you see all kinds all the time, they band together, they don't reject, it's just sort of what makes Otari so unique and capable. of these extraordinary, doing their own thing in these extraordinary circumstances. So there was this, these moments of like, we accept you and we see through the disguise a little bit, and no problems, no worries. But it was still a very interesting decision to have Lump say at some point, you know what, you had the taste of Sal You Sal, you had the opportunity, but you rejected it. You said, "Nah, I'm Lump." You kind of went into accepting the new identity instead of reverting back to the original one, and there's trauma all through that. And I was maybe wonder, like, did Lump ever feel trauma towards the identity of Sal You Sal, like in that identity that they once held? Was it the transition through, or the forceful transition through that's the trauma? Is it the new identity that's trauma? I mean, you don't have to answer it. It's just like, I think it's a really interesting way. And it was, to me, it was an unexpected choice. And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. I almost want to leave it vague just because that feels more Lump.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. 100%.
I've got a related question. Definitely not a question that I'm asking, because I am a good cohort of yours and
Conspirator?
would never ask a question like this. But how do you spell Sal You Sal?
Salusel.
Interesting, because I always thought of Sal You Sal, like repeating the same, and then that they were just in the mafia.
There's a Lump's got dual personalities, and they're both called Sal. Sal, no, you Sal, no, you Sal.
Yeah. Hey, it's Fat Tony and Sal You Sal.
Amazing.
What about Samal? I've always wondered what if Samal had made it to the end
in Azori.
Like, would he have gone back to Azori? Would they have met again? Would he have gone to the boat? Would he have continued to retire? Like, what would have happened there?
So the story between
the longest character story of this whole thing.
Yeah. So even before the shit at the Gauntlet started, like once every 6 or 8 months, he would go into Otari to meet up with Izori. Like that relationship never truly waned.
You mean
It just
Absalom?
kind of- Absalom, thank you.
Yeah.
So that relationship never truly went away from his life. This was just him kind of breaking the ground, settling in, waiting for her to be done with her life of adventure. I've just genuinely always seen that relationship as like, for you DC fans, like Carter and Shira Hall, like these star-crossed lovers that are always intertwined and just constantly get reincarnated. For you pop culture real hard nerds, Imhotep and Nuxuna Moon from the Mummy movies, like just these constant forever lovers.
Yeah. Okay.
So
And
they
so,
would've
do you
settled
think that Izori would have settled down eventually? Yeah.
yeah, I think that would have been the epilogue. It would have been like 5 years later, and it would have been Izori dropping her bag in front of Samal's house or stall or something like that, and the "What's up, lover" kind of moments.
Fade to black.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fade to Vanta Black.
Good answers, everyone. Dr. T asked, who canonically made the best rolls if Ruff was the second? Like, who pulled off the craziest feat in terms of, like, dice?
Oh.
Like, who had, like... Because, like, I think it's not a necessarily...
Gotta go to Barrel.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
that non-natural 20 crit in the most clutch moment ever is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, God.
I just got to agree. I think that was fucking mint.
It was. It just was what it was. Like there was no heavy editing on that. No retakes, my friends. That was pure gold,
Yeah, I when you said it was a crit, I was shocked because I was like, it's a 19. There's no, and I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, because I have it pulled up here because she was clumsy.
Yeah, because
Remember?
And I also had the higher bonus from the lenses, which I wasn't taking into my mental math.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, Gabe has another question. Were there any rules called made during the campaign that, in retrospect, felt like they should have gone another way? Cough some all.
Can't think of any.
We can't beat that dead horse enough.
Oh, it'll be a skeleton.
yeah.
We'll still be grinding it into dust to do lines.
No, for sure. Yeah. To do lines and make our bread. That's the biggest most glaringest one. We've never fucked that rule up since. It's a real blow. Know your death and dying rules, friends. We've said it many times before. The other rules mistakes. I mean, technically, we did mention it in the Discord, but I'm also saying it on air here. When the Flames of Ego was cast upon Volek and he rolled a natural 1, technically it should not have worked because Volek as a swarm was immune to mental effects like
Freeman,
this.
real quick.
Yeah.
In retrospect, should have gone another way. That feel like they should have gone another. Because, like, in my opinion, that went the right way.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it went the right way as well. Like,
were there any calls that, like, you may have followed the rules too strictly and felt like it may have ruined a moment? Like, that could have been.
Is that the.
Yeah. That's more where we're
Oh,
in.
sorry, I've misinterpreted.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more like, is there a time that you were, like, too strict with the rules for either yourself or for us that could have, like, sparked. And if you don't have a specific thing, that's fine. This is kind of a vague question, but is there some times where you wish.
I'll ruminate on it for a bit. Nothing springs to mind right away. Other than that, some bits of advice that you had given to me early on, Cam, even before you joined, when you were listening in, you had given advice, things like don't get bogged down on post combat bleeding. Like, it's not interesting content. Just, and like, learn lessons you learn along the way of like, don't force too much time on making sure every roll for treat wounds is happening. Just figure out how long it takes, kind of stuff like that. Those were lessons learned along the way for sure to like expedite the experience. At the beginning, it feels important when you're trying to guide the listener through some of these rules, and we plan to do the same thing for the next production to a degree, but at some point you have to just stop saying, okay, did you crit succeed on every treat wound when you have lots of downtime? It just doesn't matter at that point. Just hand wave it. Yeah, but really major things, nothing comes to mind right now, but there might be something I'll come up with. I'll think about it.
The Froghemoth.
I'm quite sure the Froghemoth was pretty legit at the end of the day.
I agree. I just wish it wasn't. I wish for the sake of the narrative that it had gone a different way.
I did not follow the rules too hard there. They just were that.
Totally.
It was brutal. That's it,
It was my own hubris in the end.
It always is.
There is a bunch of different ways I could have played that, and I possibly played it the worst. That's okay. I just to go back to the original question, I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but I remember that at the very beginning, Freeman made a big deal about how he was going to be all about the rule of cool. And I know I did a lot of complaining about him not keeping up with that. But he did.
You know what? No,
he did.
No, it is. It is fair, actually, because as much as I don't have any specific examples, for a very long time of this podcast, I was really trying to learn the rules, as we all were. We had a good foundation, but we didn't have it all nailed down. And so I was trying to be really, nitpicky about said rules. And it did turn into a lot of, no, can't do that. No, there's, follow that rule. It kind of bogged something down. I'm sure a lot of it went on the cutting room floor to make sure that the episode seemed more clean. But there were certainly moments that we got deflated by me saying no because we're trying to follow the rules. And it did result, I'll admit, it did result in fewer off the wall ideas coming out of it. Up until we hit the point of like rough dropping down that shaft and casting gecko grip on himself. Like
say that.
At some point it switched over again. And I've been really actually been thinking about that sort of thing quite a bit. That rule of cool comment. I'm so glad you brought that up, Sky, because I genuinely was thinking about it the other day. And I really want to make sure the next thing we do is more open to that sort of thing. I'm not being too nitty gritty on does your leap calculate the right distance every time? It gets a bit tiresome. And
also, I was trying to cheat a lot. So
Yeah. 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 But like throwing out a challenging attempt at something, like it's one thing to say, I want to run this distance and leap across that gap. Like we kind of do have to follow the rules as best we can. But if James just says Ruff leaps into the pit, well, he's done it, so I guess we'll figure it out, And those moments, I want more. I do want more of those,
I think that it's important to follow the rules, but also like know when to just be like, fuck it, this is awesome, fucking send it. Like,
right. Yeah. Fuck it, we ball.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother.
Cameron.
So many more people before me. But yeah, Charis Divine has another one. What level or room was the most memorable? I think we kind of already covered that one. If anybody has a quick round, we can like that you haven't mentioned, like the honorary mention, then throw it out. But
what like room or level?
Yeah, like a room or level, like just.
I mean, when Samal just like murked Boskrong, that was crazy. Yeah, such a good one.
What was that little creature that was in the light that in Belcora's living chambers?
Lurker in light.
The lurker in the light.
The
Fae.
Yeah, that one is a standout for me. It's just kind of like a interesting.
Yeah, because it was a cool, like, I think it was James playing Gilda who cracked the chalk and threw it at the invisible fucking Fae to powder it so you could see it better. It's like such a classic move, and I loved it.
Okay, but
I really like the Witchfire Warden.
Oh yeah, that was
that
was a pretty fun
thing.
thing.
I remember that fight
hard.
being. I remember that fight being kind of bogged down on my end. But maybe it was better received from everyone else.
It was hectic though. Like it may have felt bogged down to you, but it was hectic. For me, it was just. And I'm sorry, but it was just bullying you into giving up on a combat with me just tripping and Nick stabbing. Like that was.
Which time?
The children of Belcora specifically, yeah.
It was the children
of Belcora. I was thinking about the reptile we trapped in
the doorway.
Yeah, that one too, yeah.
But yeah, and the follow-up question is like, if you did this adventure again, what class would you play? And right off the bat, I think that I would have played a psychic. Like if I loved the War Priest. I'm just saying, like, if I had to go through for a different playthrough, I think leaning into the spooky with a psychic would be a ton of fun.
Cool. I wouldn't mind going back to the last question real quick, because the one thing I was going to say also about that lurker in light was Tulok grabbed the ever burning torch off the wall, and to put it out, stuffed it inside of the zombie or skeleton or whatever I had.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that. That's really funny.
I thought that was a pretty fun.
That was cool.
Dunk, did you answer favorite room?
I did not, and controversially, I kind of liked the tavern where we did the Battle of the Bands with Shadow Malice, just because it gave such a sense of like there's actual life down here outside of like things waiting to attack you.
True.
Such a silly experience, but yeah, I feel like that was the intention behind the design of that. But yeah,
and we get to meet Glash from it. So
yeah, Glash turned out to be a lot more than we ever expected.
So true.
Scoot, what class would you play?
I wanted to play a swashbuckler.
Ooh.
That's what my the skeleton character I had in mind was. So I believe I actually, when I built that character out, it was a spear as well. So
oh yeah,
nice.
And it wasn't it like an old guard of Otari?
Yes, it was
wandered down.
Yeah, because the background or the archetype was like some sort of like someone who patrolled a graveyard, essentially. And so
that's right.
The concept was they were from old Atari, just after the Rose Guard, and were lured down and stuck down there for the entire time until they were released. So I had like cool ideas of like notched out bones that would have like the amount of years they've been stuck there. And yeah.
Mm.
And then, Dunk, you have another class that you had, like, if you could start at the beginning, like, what would you do?
More alchemist.
I thought that a kineticist would be a lot of fun to play.
Ooh.
Sorry, what did you say? Honestly, you beat me to the punch, though. Now that I know how to play the game and have glasses and can read and I'm not drunk all the time, I think I could nail down learning how to play an alchemist pretty well.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Kineticist would be cool, but like that's a cool one because it definitely wasn't released when we started, that class. So.
James, I know you have backups for days, but is there like a specific concept that you would be like excited to play from the beginning?
Class wise, I'm kind of into just about everything except for the summoner and the witch, but rogue is the short answer to that question.
Perfect.
Oh, you could have had a close connection to Yin Yasbara herself, or she could have been your best friend. Oh.
No, you do it, James.
Anyways, move right along, just to keep this short. What would you tell a group who was about to start playing AV? Like, if there was any sort of, like, not necessarily spoilers, but just like, if you do this,
the same advice I'd give to any other Pathfinder group: do not be afraid to retreat.
Okay, that is
no shame
solid.
in retreat. Yeah.
I think if they were an actual play, to spend a little bit more time engrossing yourself in the town, I think that the benefits of the role play in town and being a part of that living, breathing town definitely is something that I wish we had done more of. That also is wrapped up in two locks of motivations as well. We didn't spend nearly as much time we probably should have back in town. So that, and then if you're not playing for an actual play, you're just playing for fun, I don't know, just fucking kill some shit. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, don't listen to Reddit either. That would be my advice. Like, there are no functionally like broken classes in 2E, at least not now, especially after remaster. Like, if you play War Priest, you're gonna have a bad time. Like, shut up. If you play Witch, you're gonna have a bad time. Maybe if you're James, but like any class. Well, that's just because I think James just didn't like the chassis. Yeah, it's not that the class is bad. It's just he didn't like it, right?
Yeah, it didn't. I wanted to play a 1E Witch, and this was as close as I could get, and it was not very close at all.
Yeah. But yeah, just I think that and like I realize I am optimal motherfucker of the year, but like you can make anything work, and you'll have a lot more fun if you just play something you think is cool and let your GM figure out the math on the other end to make sure everybody's having fun. Like, to me, people get caught up in APs of like it almost becomes like a speed run type of thing, especially like on the internet. Like, people are like, it's not like necessarily I'm getting off track, but like, just play something you think would be very cool that you're going to be invested in, because there's a lot down in the dungeon to do and find, and so anything can find its place. Don't get too caught up in like, I have to be a paladin because there's a bunch of undead, so I'll get to do like
right.
There's tons of things.
My follow-up yes and to that piece of advice is to ground yourself in the adventure hook and the setting. That's advice for every adventure you do, right? But like, don't get so focused on a character building concept that you're just slotting it into an adventure, haphazardly. Like, just if you decide you want to be a paladin because there's going to be undead, cool. What's that paladin's relationship to the town of Otari, or to the moment you're starting, to the grander goal? Like, create a bit of history that connects you to the future. Like, ground your character concept to the story. It doesn't, even if you are not a mad like role player or you like to get deep into the story, you don't have to, but do just a little bit of that, and it will make the experience better, I think.
Yeah, especially for the other people at the table with you. Like, don't be the person that's just like, I did a Magus Psychic archetype and now I drop 130 points of damage on spell strikes. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And if you can't pronounce a name, include him anyways and just call him Kevin.
Kevin.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. I also was just thinking that Pathfinder doesn't often reward you for doing things that you're not good at, like other games do. There's other games where, like, if you fail on something that you aren't that good at, if you fail a bunch, you can actually level up that skill. Now, there's no rules like that in Pathfinder, so I think a lot of people are scared to fail and will only do things that they will succeed at. And I think that's just it can be a boring way to play the game. And I know I've been guilty of it before, because sometimes it's the failures that put you in situations that can be the most exciting instead of just playing to win every single time.
Yeah. No. Embrace failures. That's very good advice. Yeah.
Yep.
It brings to mind some choices that James has always made in every character, I think, ever. And it's like picking stuff that doesn't at all match like the stat spread. And even if he tries this skill feat he's taken, it's just literally never going to work. And I always try to convince him, just pick something else. I'll still let you try that skill, even though you didn't take it. Just pick something you can actually use. And he just goes, nah. Like, okay.
I am totally fine with having a useless feat or skill set. I don't give a shit.
Awesome. And then we have this question came up a ton. And it won't be the last one, but it'll be the second to last one. And Freeman, this is specifically for you. Did you have an idea or an end sequence in mind in the event that I didn't come in totally clutch pro gamer poggers with the crit for if we TPK'd?
I went through a lot of motions of what I could and could not do. I really did want to avoid, no matter what, the success is nigh. It feels phoned in, that failures win no matter what. So it was really tough. It was really tough because you're putting your players into like a really difficult encounter with a specific method of victory. The thing with Belcora in particular is that even if you do defeat her like just normally, but you didn't infuse the essences, she returns. So you can kind of have the opposite of a TPK there, where your characters might even think they won if they didn't get all the information, and then they realize they haven't. She returns, and you got to go do it again. That I was more afraid of that than anything, I think, than a TPK. TPK wise, like, there was options there, I think, to like create some really cool moments. Like, if everyone died, then Tulok does swell into existence and Otari joins them. And maybe Rin shows up way deeper than she would ever have dreamed of going, but she's driven, and her claustrophobia is at its worst, but she does something to like bring all of your souls to finish it off, like, giving you all a second chance or something like that. Though all those things went through my head. And then there was also things like, if there was a TPK at any point, what happens? Well, news has got to Absalom. The call to arms is out there. And maybe I actually thought of things like, if that happens, okay, all of you have to be now Pathfinder agents. And we really are going to recreate a group like the Rose Guard, not a metaphorical one that formed through the role play by the end, but like an actual group repeating history, going to investigate. That was certainly one of my ideas to recreate a part of that history and tropes. There was lots of ideas, and I'll be perfectly honest. At the very end, we were recording that last combat. I really didn't have one nailed down. I was really just thinking with bullet points. Even that whole montage at the end was all bullet points in my head for the most part, and I was really gonna wing it and hope that it was good and that people liked it.
To go back to advice for new players, in any campaign, do stuff like Lump did, where sending a call to arms, just so that it does make introducing characters a little bit more natural and a little less like, make sure that you have, like you mentioned the other players, like, I have, even if it is the classic brother, like, just do something so that when the new character does show up, it's not just out of the blue, like established,
not
like
ham-fisted.
It's more, like bacon fisted instead of ham.
Yeah. Create connections.
Canadian bacon fisted.
Ground your character and create connections.
And then, if nobody has anything else, what's next? What's next for Uncharted North? This one came up quite a bit. People want to know the next AP, and I think we should tell the people. I think that we should tell them, and whoever's
closing
editing
shop.
This, feel free.
This is it.
Yeah, sorry.
Uncharted Weast.
See you never. Thanks for nothing.
No, come on.
What's next? Yeah, we're gonna do another official AP.
5e.
Are we revealing it right now?
If you're prepared to, the ball's in your court, boss.
Going to be a very different vibe because it's not a dungeon dive. Thank goodness. Like, we all felt some fatigue at some point with the dungeon dive, and so we're ready to break away from that. We are going to run something that is has far more fetch quest elements to it from start to finish.
Not selling it.
Yeah, he's just edging him at this point.
It has a lot more social encounters. It uses heavy subsystems. It is going to be significantly different in tone, I think, and flow and pacing. But that makes it pretty exciting. I think we're all ready for a refresher. My greatest worry is I have two great worries. I think one will tread some lines on cultural tones. We want to be careful but true towards, and the other one is I feel like we're gonna have a hard time breaking away from our three and however many years or 3 and however many months. 3 years and however many months of the same adventure, and like kind of break away from the habits we formed there and form new ones and be creative and reset. I think it's going to be hard. I think we're going to do it, but I think it's going to be hard for us as a group. But all that said, the plan is to run Triumph of the Tusk in Belkson.
Holds Belkson, baby.
Strongly very focused on orc culture, the current status of them, the history that they've gone through, and the future that is held for them, and the heroes, quote unquote, for this adventure will have a vested interest of some kind in the future of Belkson and its reputation, its future reputation in the world of Galarian, and whether or not it survives the events of the adventure. So I think everyone's quite excited, I think, to take on the idea. We've gone back and forth a lot about what the tone is meant to be. What are we expecting? And it's actually been quite difficult to set it all out without the spoilers. But we're slowly working towards it and focusing on character concepts and that's it's on the horizon, and I'm getting into it pretty deep now. So I hope in a way it feels like it's going to be, in certain ways it feels like it's going to be more work for me. There's some parts of the writing, in fact, that I feel is quite disconnected, and I can tell where I'm going to have to really connect it proper. So I'm going to lean on all of you and your characters and your writing and your biting the hook and following the lead. It's not railroaded, but it's not sandboxed either. So,
well, I'm midway through reading book number 1, and it's great so far.
And get in the Discord and go ahead and guess what we're all gonna play. I think it'd be fun. I think that it would be interesting to see what y'all think we're gonna play.
And if everything goes right, we might just meet a librarian in the bibliothèque. Oh.
Sorry, I was just sorting through my stack of papier.
Cut the mic.
And that's what we're going to call it.
Keeping that
Thanks for your
pause
questions,
in.
Listeners.
That
Thanks for
tone.
being having a vested interest in our production.
Yeah, it's still wild to us that people out there love this shit or even like this shit.
Oh, it's not wild to me.
Stemming the Tide is an actual play podcast of the Adventure Path Abomination Vaults and is produced by the Uncharted North Network. Stemming the Tide uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Stemming the Tide is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. Music is composed by Will Savino and artwork by Greyhood. Stemming the Tide is recorded remotely using Foundry Virtual Tabletop. If you wish to connect with us or support this project and projects to come, we can be found at unchartednorth.ca, patreon.com/unchartednorth, and on all major social media platforms. Links to all credits can be found in the episode description and our website. Thanks for tuning in.